I love music, and music has been my life. I have been so fortunate and so blessed to have had mentors and teachers that are actually standing with me today, although you can't see them. But all of their teachings and their wisdom are alive within me and are part of the legacy that I'm leaving now with the students that I teach and the ones that I've been working with in the last 30 years. I am so thankful for this opportunity to share and acknowledge all of them, or as many of them as I can, that have given me the influence of their love of music and passed that on to me. And so that is my legacy. My first piano teacher was Doris Dayo. I was able to audition for a wonderful teacher at the Conservatory of Music at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. And Professor Joanne Baker became my teacher through high school. And it was a huge honor to study with her because I was one of 4 high school students that was chosen. During that time, I was most influenced by a man who was, if you saw the movie Mr. Holland's Opus, you will understand. His name was Mr. Carter Manning. He was the high school choir director, and he had a way of getting the most amazing things out of his students. And he was remarkable in his influence on me because he supported me playing music. And I think that support has been part of what's carried me forward in supporting my students. And then finally, Penny Nichols, my most wonderful friend and songwriter, has given me great techniques that I share with my students in her vocal warm-ups. I love them. I'm so grateful for all of my musical friends and teachers and mentors for the influence that they've played in my life. My early musical memories go back as far as being 3 years old and sitting and playing with a little yellow plastic record player and these little cardboard records. And they were, mind you, folk songs, Walt Disney songs, things like that. And that was my greatest joy. My mother says that I begged for a piano when I was 8 years old. Well, one of my favorite memories is going to Damon Recording Studio, and I would make records. Remember records? For my father, for Father's Day and his birthday. So my recording career is not exactly an overnight success. I was at the Gallery in Aspen, which was at the base of Little Nell. It was a popular nightclub, and there was a group called the Eagles that were playing there. And I would go every night to hear Peaceful Easy Feeling. Now this was before they had cut their first album. I ended up meeting Bernie Ledden and actually dating him for a while, and he opened up the world of popular music to me in that he shared how simple it was. And with my classical background, I had no exposure to that at all. My musical career was not to blossom yet, as I met Ken Helfenbein and married him in 1973. We had 2 amazing sons, Stephen and Nathan, and as a stay-at-home mom, I was asked to teach a young boy piano. And I thought, great way to earn an income, so I agreed to teach this young boy and actually took on a few students at that point in time. I met Barb Sear, who was to become a dear friend. And we both loved music. We worked on a project at the middle school together and soon decided, since she played guitar, I played piano, why not form a duo? So our first musical group was Temporary Pleasure, and we performed from the Mountain Fair to local gigs in Glenwood Springs, Carbondale, as far west as Hotchkiss and Crawford, Colorado, and as far east as Estes Park. Barb and I then went on to form the Sirens of Swing for the Mountain Fair back in 1982. And the Sirens were 3 female vocalists and a 7-piece backup band. Raising 2 dynamically different sons that were very different learners inspired me to do some trainings in educational kinesiology. Now that has actually become some of the basis of my performance techniques that I use with my students. I have been so grateful for Peter Craven, who is actually a local judge here, who gave me a book that was to be very influential in my life in 1985 by Don Campbell. Now Don's book was Introduction to the Musical Brain, and I was really interested in how brain is affected by music And Don was a wonderful mentor for me. I went to Anig Rayleigh, who's a local piano teacher, and I studied with her for a while, and I took these compositions to her that I was hearing and asked her, what about this? This is not like what I learned in college. And she just said, it's great, just keep going with it. So I'm thankful for Anig for all the original inspiration that she gave me for recording my next album, which was First Solo. And I performed that premiere concert here at Colorado Rocky Mountain School. It was also the time when I had met Peter Cater, who was also a jazz pianist. And Peter actually mixed that album for me, which I'm very grateful for. I've had the pleasure of creating artist in residence programs through the Carbondale Council on Arts and Humanities, and also a wonderful experience being the music director at the Aspen Community School.
Living in the Roaring Fork Valley, I've been greatly influenced by the mountains, of course, and the great beauty, and it's guided me to be more of an environmentalist and an activist. And recording Point of Balance was focused on those environmental themes. And I actually received those songs, many of the songs on Point of Balance, in some of the power places in our valley. I was also studying with the Native American teacher Brooke Medicine Eagle at the time, and so I greatly was influenced by Native American teachings and philosophies. When we recorded Point of Balance, we had a great experience of using Ernie Watts, who was a internationally acclaimed, actually Grammy Award winning saxophone player, and Steve Skinner, who's the local station manager for KDNK, was the engineer for that project. And we also had some great musicians working on that project also, Chris Bank and Harry Knipe and Brian Savage and Jeff Reynolds. And following Point of Balance, there was a shift in my work where I delved more into the deep connection with the earth and more in women's retreats. And I was invited to teach at the Winds of Change women's retreats for 3 years in a row. And out of that work, Sophia Songs, which was my next recording, was born. And that was based on the work of Rudolf Steiner.
I am honored to have you all here to help me celebrate the 30th year of performing and recording. And I want to leave you with a quote by Paul Hindemith. People who make music together cannot be enemies as long as the music is playing on. I thank you for sharing this journey with me, and I wish you peace.